Former vice presidential candidate and former governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin, a big Trumpist, was interviewed by Good Morning Britain. And it is absolutely nuts. And, I jokingly said 10 days ago on Twitter, remember when Sarah Palin was the craziest person in the Republican Party back in 2008? And how now she seems so moderate compared to some of this wacky QAnon stuff. Then I saw this interview from yesterday, and now I'm thinking, no, Sarah Palin's just as wacky as a lot of these QAnon people. Let's look at some clips here. We'll dive right in. First question to Sarah Palin was, does Trump bear responsibility for the January 6th riots?
The president told those who are attending the rally to go protest peacefully and patriotically and legally. So so these idiots who did storm the Capitol, and now they're blaming the president for their own actions. I think that's a symptom of a societal problem where people just cannot take responsibility for their stupid and criminal acts.
The hilarity of Sarah Palin saying this is about people being unable to take personal responsibility for their actions. That's what started this entire thing. That's what got us here. If on November 8th, which was the day that the media called the election for Joe Biden, if on November 8th, Donald Trump and Republicans took responsibility and said, we lost, we failed on COVID and we lost, or we didn't do, for whatever reason, we lost and that's it. That responsibility would have prevented all of this. And of course, after the fact, in Trump's inciting of the riot as well, they are completely denying any responsibility whatsoever. But that personal responsibility is not what Sarah Palin is talking about. She says that the problem with personal responsibility is the people who did the rioting aren't taking personal responsibility. Then Sarah Palin makes the case that, listen, the rioters were already there planning chaos. They weren't influenced by Donald Trump at all. And Piers Morgan points out, well, hold on a second. The 2 months of the lie about election fraud from November 4th, that was really the initial catalyst for these people being so whipped up to begin with. This is why they were even there on January 6th. It's a very good point. Sarah Palin doesn't like it.
Also, you have to remember that those who were these rioters, and again, they were horrible and it was a horrible act. They were there already. So many of them were. They weren't like standing in the back of the rally, rooting on patriotically a president's speech. No, they knew what they were going to do. They were going to go storm the Capitol and be jerks.
Yeah, the reason they were going to the reason Sarah Palin they were going to do that is because the president, ever since the result of a fair democratic election, had perpetuated an absolute lie that there had been widespread fraud, which has never been proven at all. It didn't exist. He whipped his mob into a frenzy. He told them to stop the steal. And as the elected officials in Congress were actually ratifying the election, he ordered them to march down to the Capitol and stop the steal. And yeah, some of them may have just got the wrong memo, but you know what? It sounded to me like the president wanted to stop the steal, as he put it, and stop the democratic election being ratified. That, I'm afraid, is a criminal action, isn't it?
Why are you generalizing, though, and making it sound like it was this entire crowd that was so excited?
Because I saw thousands of people.
Now, this is just Rich. Why are you generalizing? She says. Well, he's not generalizing. 75 million people voted for Trump. Piers isn't talking about 75 million people because most of them stayed home on January 6th. Thousands and thousands of people went to the January 6th Trump rally. Piers also isn't talking about all of them because some of them, when the rally was over, turned around and they went to their cars or got on the subway and went home where they came from. He is doing the opposite of generalizing. He's talking specifically about the people who went to the Capitol and were trespassing and vandalizing and being violent. Was it 500 people? Was it 1,500 people? 2,000? We're still trying to figure out the exact number. He's not generalizing at all, and this continues. And Sarah Palin won't even concede that Donald Trump lost. And this is where you really see the full delusion of Sarah Palin. And I know some people are going to write to me and say, David, she seems unwell. She seems like she's not well. And unfortunately, this is the impression we get from a lot of these right-wing loons. So I don't know that tells us much one way or the other about her politics. But she was asked Trump didn't win, right? Like Trump lost. And she says, well, I don't know. Take a look.
No, Sarah, I saw thousands of people. I'm not generalizing. We all saw the scenes.
You did generalize.
I watched thousands of people.
You made it sound like it was the entire crowd.
No, I watched thousands of people storming into the Capitol. We all watched it with our own eyes. It was one of the most grotesque...
But it wasn't the entire crowd, right?
Okay, I'm talking about the thousands who did. And there's no question, there's no question they were whipped up to do so because they believed their president, who told them the election had been stolen, fraudulently stolen. That was a lie, wasn't it?
The president has been insisting, so many Americans have been insisting that our elections are run legally and transparently. And when there were shenanigans, obviously, in so many of the polling areas, the president has insisted that we look into where all these votes had come from.
Yeah, but the election wasn't stolen, was it, Sarah Palin? Let's be honest. Let's be clear. The election was won.
There were shenanigans.
Sarah, the election was.
You know how,
the election was won. Let me just say something.
And there always is.
Sarah, the election was won. The election was won fair and square by a thumping win by Joe Biden. Do you accept that?
I want to see that our elections and every polling place is run cleanly. Now, I was a governor.
So she will not admit that. In trying to defend Trump from any blame about people storming the Capitol, she's doing the exact thing that started all of this to begin with, which is she's now been asked twice, did Trump lose? And she's not answering the question, and it continues.
The question was, do you accept the election victory by Joe Biden?
This is crazy. If you guys invited me to come on, let me finish,
it's just that you didn't answer that part of the question.
You didn't answer my question.
Susie,
if you want to
finish, okay?
Why do you answer the question?
Finish. Now, I'm talking about clean elections, and I know that shenanigans do take place in elections. As a governor, I witnessed that also, and we were always having to crack down through division of elections and the lieutenant governor's office.
Can you answer the question,
the bureaucrats who are in charge of it? Because, for instance, we had Barack Obama's right-hand man.
Let's not talk about Obama. He hasn't been in. Obama's not been in office for 4 years. Sarah, you can't filibuster us. Now listen, let's go back to the question. The question was, do you accept that Joe Biden?
Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go back to the question.
Let me ask you a question, and you answer my question. Look, did Joe Biden?
Let's go back to the first question.
Did Joe Biden win? Did Joe Biden? Let me try and answer a question.
Absolute hysteria. It's incredible that there are layers of hysteria here that we're unable to even get to, because she won't get through the first level of hysteria, like allowing the question to simply be repeated and then giving an answer. Did Joe Biden win? Here's one more attempt.
The rioters on the Capitol.
Did Joe Biden win the election?
Can we please finish the topic? Why did you just skip on over that?
Because it's at the heart of the issue, isn't it?
The president, who is facing impeachment, if he was solely to blame for these criminals and their acts.
I believe he was to blame for the criminals, but I'm asking you, Sarah Palin, whether you believe Joe Biden won the election.
Well, evidently he did, because he's sworn in as our president, but no one will convince me, nor anyone else with common sense and a sense of justice. No one will convince us that there were not shenanigans going on.
What were the shenanigans? Explain to me what the... given that nobody has...
Nobody can argue the numbers. You
can
argue against the politician, but you cannot argue against the facts.
Given that nobody has produced any facts to prove there was widespread fraud in the election, do you have it now? Can you show us? Can you tell me what...
No. Piers,
where's the fraud?
Piers, stop. Now, don't interrupt me while I finish this point,
where's the fraud?
Okay? Listen.
Okay,
how many polling areas had to produce their voter rolls, and they showed that there were, say, more votes than there were voters in certain districts?
Yeah, where's the fraud, Sarah?
Where's it been upheld?
Is that not?
Where is a single court? Where is a single?
Right there?
Where has a single court in America upheld fraud?
Okay.
in the election?
You're asking if there was fraud. I'm telling you where the shenanigans were. What about all the dead people who voted?
Oh,
Sarah, where was that upheld
right
in court?
I don't know. Sarah, we like you on this program. Sarah.
I like how Piers says he likes her on the program. I find her completely insufferable and corrosive to American politics. He likes her. Okay. More votes than people wasn't demonstrated anywhere. Just because they repeat it doesn't make it true. And then dead people voting. Come on. It's been so widely debunked. Every time it's been investigated, dead people voting were actually a combination of people who were registered but died before the election and didn't vote. Being registered to vote and then dying and not voting isn't a crime. It's not shenanigans. It's not foul play. Clerical errors, some junior-senior confusion where like a junior voted and the vote was counted as their dad, who might have been dead at the time of the election, but it was still only one vote. It just counted for the wrong person. That's another thing that happened. And then also when I believe it was Channel 4 in the UK did an investigation about this, a lot of the people that were just claimed to be dead were actually just alive. And that's happened to me. Remember, I was featured in a documentary about people who were supposedly dead. And I had to put out a statement saying I am very much alive right now. So that is these are all untruths. And this went on and on. There are probably about another 5 or 6 minutes of it. I won't play more, but absolutely horrifying that Sarah Palin was very close to being the vice president of the United States. And had she been vice president, she would have been, as the phrase goes, a heartbeat away from being president of the United States. Really scary stuff. I'd rather her saying crazy things in Alaska than in the White House for sure, but that doesn't make what she's saying any less outrageous. We'll have more of this, including commentary, your commentary, on the David Pakman Show Instagram. Make sure you're following us there at David Pakman Show. We'll take a quick break and be right back. I want to take a second to tell you about one of our sponsors, S&H Masks. S&H Masks has everything you need when it comes to face masks and other protective gear for COVID-19, and they're giving my audience 20% off. S&H Masks is the company that I've personally been going to for face masks. I love and trust the products they sell, and that's actually why I reached out to them about being a sponsor. I've tried tons of different face masks this year, like many of you, and I still have not found a mask that is more comfortable or easier to breathe in than the washable cotton masks that they sell. It's made of a silky, lightweight cloth that feels great on the skin, has a convenient adjustable strap. They also have disposable cloth masks, which are really comfortable, as well as all of the other gear like face shields, alcohol wipes, no-touch infrared thermometers. And all of their prices are very reasonable. I also love S&H Masks because they've donated over 60,000 masks to healthcare institutions. They're an excellent company. Shipping is just $5 and shipping is free on orders over $150. You can get there by going to davidpakman.com/mask. The link is under this video, and you can save 20% on everything in their store when you use the coupon code DAVID.